I'm not gonna get too deep in context because this is a faith-based show, but I wanted to take my life.
How did your faith impacted your mindset?
It doesn't matter what you acquired, how much money do you have, or what title did you like gain, but who did you become in the process?
So when you're broken, all you gotta do is talk to God and sharpen yourself back up. Life is bigger than you, so you have to believe in a higher power. And I know that might sound kind of facetious to some people because of the world we live in today.
Yeah.
But you got to believe in something outside yourself. You're going to get no, and then that one yes can change your life.
What's good, everybody? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're feeling blessed. Welcome to the Above and On the podcast. Today I'm here with my two co-hosts, Diego Rivera and Nicole Ramos.
How y'all doing?
You feeling good?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling blessed. I'm excited about this one too. So I mean, it's a blessed day. I think we're here to spread the word, spread the light of the world.
Yep.
I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling
How
great.
you feeling?
Feeling good. I'm feeling excited.
Feeling excited? Hey, I'm feeling excited because we got a guest today.
Another guest.
We got a guest today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
And he's going to teach us about a mindset and how to be a leader.
Yes.
And this is very important because for me, I'm an athlete and Diego's an athlete.
Yes.
And Nicole, she's a dancer leader for her church. And it's really important for us to learn how to be a leader and how to build our mindset the right way. So we can lead others and we can
Have the
be
initiative.
better. Yep.
Without further ado,
Let's welcome Coach John. Give a round of applause.
What's going on, y'all? Thank y'all for having me. Man. It's a blessing. Anytime I'm able to be a vessel, especially for the next generation. That's my legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I impact the future? Even when I'm not here. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you guys for having me. Especially Kaleb, man. You played for me in the IBT league, and we kind of built a relationship, man. And I want to see you grow. I want to see all you all grow. You know what I mean? So it's a pleasure to be here, and a pleasure to give the wisdom and knowledge and things like that because it's needed. It's needed.
Yes.
We lack the village, and I've been coaching, man. I've been a part of many people's villages, so I'm glad to be a part of y'all's.
It's about like working with the people that's coming, man.
Yes, sir.
A little bit. I'm gonna give a little bit what I've been through, so that you don't go through the same thing.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Well, behind the scenes, before the cameras were on, you were talking a little bit about being a leader, about having faith and all of that. I want to ask you, right? How did your faith impacted your mindset while growing up?
To be honest with you, man, I'm a preacher's kid. My grandfather and my father were pastors. Well, my dad is still a pastor. My grandfather passed away, but my dad is still a pastor. And I was one of those kids that I was always in church. So I was born into this world as a believer. I had to get up and speak in church. I had to read scripture and things like that. But honestly, man, life is bigger than you. So you have to believe in a higher power. And I know that might sound, kind of facetious to some people because of the world we live in today.
Yeah.
But you got to believe in something outside yourself. There's a lot of darkness and things. And when you talk about leadership, a lot of people look at leadership as a position or a title, but that's not so. You can be 5, you can be 6, you can be 7, you can be young, old, whatever. It doesn't matter because leadership is characteristics and traits. And a lot of people don't understand the cost of leadership, right? You're going to be misunderstood. Certain conversations had to be had. Even right decisions sometimes hurt, as a leader, and some people aren't willing to pay that cost, especially in today's time. So, to be able to be here with you guys and share the things that I've been through and, the faith and things and the times of my life where I had to lean on my faith, has really molded me into who I am today. So, it kind of comes natural now, but yeah, man, I'm happy to be here and happy to talk about it and share it with you guys. Cause it's always good to have a coach, right? Tom Brady, Kobe, Jordan, people forget they had coaches.
They had to learn something.
Right.
They had to learn from somebody.
Right.
I want you to go like a little bit deeper on that because I like how you said like leadership is a way of living. It's not like a title. It's like something like you wake up and that's who you are.
Right.
Like how does that work? How do you like transfer to that like way of living
Right.
from that leadership?
Well, let's take it to basketball, right? You know, when I was a kid, God showed me the vision of what I wanted. I wanted to be pro. I wanted to go pro from 5 years old, whatever. But He's not going to show you the journey, right? Because you got to discover it, right? So at the end of the day, is if you're intentional about discovering your purpose, right, and what and you fall in love with that journey, and you understand that there's going to be highs and lows, there's going to be failures, there's going to be things and stuff like that. But how your perspective is on when you fail, right? And if you can lean on your faith, and like I said, the higher power and your belief system, because that's where everything starts anyway. So that's where it comes into play. You have to fall in love with the journey. Right. And again, like I told you all before we started the show, it might not look like everybody else, you know, but that's your job to discover, you know, and being an NBA player or being a pro athlete and things like that, whatever, that's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
But it's the journey that's the most challenging part, and that's why people quit. You know, so that's where you find the leadership within yourself and what you want for yourself. And then when you find it for yourself, God's going to call you to lead other people. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about just buying into that purpose.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's great because I always hear this, Inky Johnson is one of the guys I hear.
That's the guy with the short arm.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah.
And then he said one of his podcasts, he said, it's not about what you acquire, it's who you become. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because many of us like are so like focused on achieving a lot of material stuff, but who do you become in the journey? That's the actual goal in the process.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter what you acquire, how much money do you have, or what title did you like gain, but who did you become in the process? Who are you after all everything that happened in your life at the storm, going through the storm? Who did you get out as?
Right. So back when I was young, you know, when you were different, you were called a square. Right? Okay. Now, you all are squares, but y'all trying to fit in a circle. Right? You understand? Yeah. Y'all are different, but y'all trying to fit in. Right. You don't have to fit in. Right? You don't have to be like everyone else, and you don't have to be this what I call an empty giant. Yeah. Right? When you look in the mirror, do you see you? Do you see you? Do you see you? Right? Or when you look in the mirror, do you see what the world sees you as? Right? Wow. I try to be a square every day, you know what I'm saying? Because I want to be different. Yep. I don't want to be like someone else. You know what I'm saying? I saw my father work hard, so I have no excuse. You know, he was a warden at a big federal prison with no degree, right? My siblings all have degrees. We all went to school and everything like that. So I know what hard work looks like, right? But I also know that I want to be different, right? So in order to do that, faith. You can't show fear, right? You got to take risks, and you have to find out who you're becoming. And the only way to do that is have clarity, right? But if you trying to fit in a circle that you don't fit in, how you gonna have clarity for yourself? You know, you're not gonna be aligned enough to keep that vision clear. And if your vision is not clear, you're gonna be distracted by this, you're gonna be distracted by that, and this and other, whatever. So discipline. That's what comes into play. You know, discipline will move more mountains than anything. You know, so if you can find a way to discipline yourself first, right? Because even your partner, my wife, she's not meant to make me whole. I have to make myself whole. And then we meet. Yeah. 1 + 1 = 1. Wow. Right? Not 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 1. So if I'm godly and I treat myself and I honor myself godly and stay disciplined with who I am and who I'm becoming, then I can pass it on to her, but she has to do the same thing for herself.
Yep. Wow. Yeah.
So how do you maintain that discipline? Because there's times when we're gonna, have our doubts and have our struggles, like, that if we're gonna make it, or if the journey, like, if it's actually going like how God wants it to go. So how do you maintain your faith during those times that you're struggling?
So number one is belief, right? Everything that you do starts with a belief system. So you have to have the utmost belief in your faith. All right, brother MLK, Martin Luther King, he said faith is like looking down a dark staircase. You can't see the bottom, but you got to take the first step. Yeah. All right, and that comes with a belief system. So once you start to believe, all right, then the staying aligned, like I said earlier, staying aligned, right? Every business every big corporation, whatever have you, has a vision, and they have a mission statement, and then they have an executive plan, which is the employees, the budget, and things like that.
Yep.
And guess what happens if an employee doesn't fit that plan? They fire them.
Yep.
Right? So in your habits and daily routines, after you get up and talk to God and you talk to yourself, what do your habits look like? Right? That's how you stay aligned. That's your system. That's your executive plan as a human being. All right? You know, a lot of people, you know, when I came on, I didn't introduce, you know, what I do and tell people what I do. You know, being a peak performance coach and a mindset coach, it's all about alignment. All right? And just like you get in a car, right? You want to hear, get in your mood, you turn to a good playlist, right?
Yeah.
You turn whatever you want.
Yeah.
Why can't your habits be a playlist? Right? You know what I'm saying? Why can't you get up? For me, 4 a.m, get up, I do my mindfulness stuff, and then I beat myself up in the gym. All right? Because it's not a form of agony, it's a form of discipline. Because discipline is love too.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So if I beat myself up, then the world can't touch me. You know, so that's how you do it. You stay aligned by your habits and routines. And another thing is, you know, I went to therapy, and I will get into all of that, you know, after my basketball career. Therapists and counselors, society wants you to think your emotions dictate your actions. But being a peak performance coach, my wife and I, we help people understand that your actions can dictate your emotions. All right? Because a lot of us, you know, we do actions that aren't conducive to our alignment. But if your habits and routines are conducive to your alignment, that's how you do it.
Yep.
Huh. You know, it's really great because you talking about earlier because what came to mind is, do you have the capacity to go against the current? There's a lot of things in the world, because in my experience, when I got into like basketball and everything, I was like, man, I wanna be great. I wanna be great. And then I came with a perspective here to the United States with like, I'm gonna base everything that I do with basketball, and this is what I'm gonna be focused on. I'm gonna wake up every single day. I'm gonna train, and what I didn't know is that the journey that I was going through was actually to get me closer to my spiritual.
Your calling,
to my spiritual calling, to Jesus.
Right.
And nobody is gonna like know or understand what the process is like. And when I say, do you have the capacity to go against the current, is, can you make your own path? Because many people are not going to understand it. Your calling and everything. Like, do you have like the capacity to be like, oh, I know it's crazy, but God said I'm this, and I'm gonna like preach the word to a lot of places. So like, how do you go against like what the whole world is telling, and go transfer to that, like, oh, I got to make my own path because I got a different calling. I'm unique to everybody else. So how was that process for you?
So, again, we talked about God's going to show you the vision, right? But it's up to you to discover the journey. All right, so let's take it to sports. All right. What's the criteria for the Hall of Fame?
You got to be great. You got to accomplish many, many things.
But what's the criteria? It's not written, right?
Yeah.
But everybody that gets up and accepts the Hall of Fame induction, what do they say? Every day, what did I do? I worked. Every day, what did I do? I worked. Every day, what did I do? I worked. So you have to get to a point in your life where you just accept the fact that, you know, on my journey, I don't know the criteria of the Hall of Fame, but whose Hall of Fame am I trying to make? Number one, myself. All right, so in order to achieve ultimate happiness and peace and love, I got to do everything I'm capable of. All right? It might not look like society, like I said, but what are you capable of? That's up to you to find out, right? And then the next Hall of Fame is my wife and my daughter. All right? Outside of them two, I don't care if you don't put me in the Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
But if my daughter puts me in the Hall of Fame, when it's all said and done, that's all that matters.
Yeah, you made it.
I made it. So at the end of the day, all I got to do is just stack the days. If I can stack days, I can stack weeks.
Wow.
If I can stack weeks, I can stack months.
Yeah.
If I stack months, I stack years.
Keep going.
And if I stack years, guess what? I stack a lifetime, right? you said materialistic things earlier, right? So we look at cars, look at homes and things like that, but we don't own any of that.
No.
But 3 things that we own, that's ours: our mind, our body, and our lifetime. And how we use the first 2 determines the third. Right? So you got to use your mind and your body and your faith and everything that you believe in to create your lifetime. It's not anybody else's lifetime but yours. So that's how you build your mindset to go against the world.
Right.
It's the Hall of Fame. It's no criteria written. They just retired Deion Sanders' son's. They're going to retire his jersey. He didn't win a championship at Colorado. He didn't. He broke 1 or 2, 3 records, right? But they're retiring his jersey. Is that right? Maybe not. That's our opinion. But if the school sees fit,
For them, it is.
it is.
Yeah.
So for you,
maybe they saw something we didn't.
there you go. So for you, whatever you see fit for yourself, it's your lifetime that you're creating, not anybody else's. So that's the mindset you have to have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like the world's gonna offer a lot of things, and we gotta search for our calling. We can't be focused on other people, because if we focus, that was my problem. I was focusing on other preachers, on other motivators.
Yep.
And I was like, man, I want to be like them. No,
Everybody
you're trying to be like you, man.
Everybody
you
does it. Yep.
You have your own audience, you have your own calling, and you can't be like living trying to be someone else.
Right.
Because you're unique.
Right.
In God's eyes, you're unique.
Yep.
So you gotta chase your calling, and you can't compare yourself to anybody else.
I did the same thing. When I first became a trainer, I saw trainers and or a sports performance coach. I saw these gyms and this and that, whatever. My wife and I have been in business 10 years and never owned a gym. I'll say it again. My wife and I have been in business 10 years and I have not worked a job in 10 years and I've never owned a gym. All right. So was my calling different? Yes. But I had to discover it.
Right.
And you got to block out the noise. You got to block out the noise, and you have to block out that imposter syndrome, right? And you have to understand that all squares don't fit in the circle.
Yeah.
All right. So that you got the right mindset. It's just that you got to understand that there's going to be peaks and valleys in the journey. But my grandma used to say, if you can look up, you can get up.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I wanted to ask you, because I know there's a lot of people in this world. I think everyone, they go through different temptations, and it's pretty very difficult to stay positive day to day and stay on like your path. I wanted to ask, like you said, there's so much noise in the world. There's so much noise. You guys stay on your own path. How did you go through that, or what you do to like stay on that that path for your calling?
So again, I failed basketball. All right. A lot of people in my position would say, man, you were successful, but it wasn't what I wanted to achieve, right? So that was number one.
You knew you could achieve.
I know I could achieve more, right? So that was number one. Then I failed my marriage, all right? My wife, we separated for 2 years, all right? Then after that, right, I failed at business decisions and things like that, whatever. So you got to get to a place where you understand that failure is necessary, all right? And you got to flip your mindset into what lessons is it teaching me? Even a conversation, right? If I have a conversation with somebody right now, they could make me very upset, but it's the hostility part that I have to internalize and channel and figure out, okay, this person is speaking to me, not how I want to speak to, but what is it teaching me? Patience.
Right.
All right. So you got to flip your mindset into looking at the world from a different lens.
Yeah.
All right, and let me get to some statistics real quick, because in my profession, it's all about statistics and not. So 45% of our habits and routines are conditioned from outside entities, right? Social media, everything like that. 65% of our thoughts are overthinking. All right, so if we're getting conditioned from not us, not God, from outside secular things, because that's all we see.
Yeah.
Right. And then 65% of our day is spent overthinking, that number doesn't add up to 100% of our mind. So where does that leave time for you? It doesn't. It doesn't leave time for you to process yourself. So you have to be intentional with flipping your perspective on how you view things. You might think that, your basketball was this and that and other, whatever. But again, that's the vision that God gave you. But you're discovering your journey. right? So you just have to continue to just discover, but it comes with a different lens and a different scope of how you view the perspective.
Wow.
When we go to church, right?
Yeah.
When you hear the sermon or you hear the message, 1, 2, 3, 4, we sit in the same church. I don't know how you perceive the message.
Nope.
And that's not my job.
Different revelation.
There you go. That's not my job to perceive how you view the message, right? We all have a different perspective and a different way that we receive the message.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not meant for you to worry about the world and how they perceive you. Only thing that's meant for you to do is when you look in the mirror, how do you perceive yourself? And that's how you build a mindset to keep going through everything.
Wow. It's powerful.
So, how did you find your calling, your purpose?
Just honestly, Kaleb, man, it came from failure. It came from understanding that you're gonna be told no many times, right? You're gonna go through things. Again, like I said, I failed basketball, right? I failed at my marriage, right? I failed at business decisions and things like that, whatever. But you gotta pay attention to the signs that God give you.
Right.
I've always been involved with children. I've always worked with children. One thing I've never done is I've never failed as a father. All right. I'm not perfect, right? But I've never failed as a father, and I've always been intentional with being a father. So at the end of the day, if you're intentional with the things that you're given and the signs that you're given by God,
right,
and you follow through with it, that's how you're gonna find it, right? But you can't avoid the signs. He might say, "Hey, son, leave this relationship," and you got to go.
Yeah.
He might say, "Hey, son, sacrifice this going out to go to the gym."
Yeah.
Go to the gym. But when you see it, you got to act on it. You can't ignore it.
Yeah. Sometimes we try so hard to do our own thing that we don't follow what God has planned for us.
Yes, sir. So just like I told you guys, if you haven't started now, start reading. Yeah. All right. Don't. I'm not saying read on your phone. Read off your phone, so it opens your mind to a different space, right? Mm-hmm. And start journaling. Mm-hmm. Write down your emotions. We track our calories. We track how many shots we make in the gym, but no one tracks their emotions. Right. So I encourage you guys to start journaling. All right? Write down how you feel today. And once you write it down, leave it there. All right? And then the next day, write again how you feel, right? Because 2 weeks from now, guess what? You'll be able to look and see back in your journal, see if you're making emotional growth.
Right.
All right? So these are the little details. Play sports. If the coach draws up a play and you're out of position, guess what? It's going to throw off somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't execute a press breaker or something, it's going to break down the whole offense, defense, or whatever may have you. Right. So that's how our lives work too. It's the small details in our lives that we're not intentional with, and we're trying to just chase the bigger picture.
Yeah.
All right. Again, I tell you guys about the book earlier, The Anxious Generation. It's another book called It Takes What It Takes by Trevor Mawad. Right. He was the trainer for Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Drew Brees, and some other ones, right? He talks about neutral thinking. All right? Every moment has its history, its present, and a future. All right? When you drive a car, which way you drive it? Forward.
Yeah, forward.
Right? What's the rearview mirror there for?
Back.
To glance backwards. Yeah. You don't drive like this.
Yeah.
Right? You drive forward. Yeah. Right? So, again, when you go from reverse, you got to go to neutral. And then you got to put it in drive. We spend too much time in reverse and drive. We never sit in neutral. All right. This is what it takes to understand who we are. This is what it takes to understand where we're at and be clear. You got to sit in neutral.
Right.
All right. And the book is called It Takes What It Takes. All right. So I want y'all to look at that. But neutral thinking.
Right there, right now.
Yes, sir. Where are your feet at today? You can't. It's 9:10. When it turns 9/11, I'm not getting 9/10 back.
Right.
So where are my feet at right now? And the next behavior is what dictates the future. Not a wish. They say if you're going to pray, why worry, right? Mm-hmm. But if you don't put the work in behind the prayer, faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can your next behavior dictate or change the future? And that's how you got to look at it.
Okay. Earlier you were speaking about failure and that you find your calling by failure.
Failing.
So what would you say to those people that might be going through that storm of I'm failing at this, I'm failing at that, and they feel like giving up? What would you say to them?
What's your potential? Don't know. Nobody knows their potential unless you try and try again and try again. A winner is just a loser that just kept trying. Mm-hmm. That's it.
One more time.
Michael Jordan said it best. I never lost. I just learned lessons. So at the end of the day, if you're in that storm of where you keep failing, it's teaching you something. Mm-hmm. But you have to be intentional with the lesson. You're gonna get no, and then that one yes can change your life.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, do everything in hundreds. You got a podcast, do 100 episodes.
Right.
Before you ask to get paid, right? You think you got a broke jump shot? Take 100 shots a day. Mm-hmm. You want to be a rapper? Come out with 100 songs.
Yeah.
You want to be a YouTube content creator? Make 100, and then ask for respect.
Right.
Respect is respect in whatever you do, whatever you want to do. It's not given; it's earned. All right. But the only way that people are you're gonna earn respect, and you're gonna get to that goal is consistency, not perfection, but consistency. And consistency is not just a straight narrow line. It's peaks and valleys, and valleys. But again, when your back is against the wall, how do you respond? So that's why failure is necessary.
You can never be disappointed when God closes the door on you, because it's not God's will.
Right.
And the Bible says it. The righteous person falls 7 times, but he gets up 7 times. And everybody's gonna fall at a point of their life.
Yep.
We all fall.
Yep.
But do you have the capacity to get up?
Right.
And that's what the Bible teaches, that like I can do all things by God who gives me like the strength to keep going.
Right.
Philippians 4:13.
Yeah, Philippians 4:13. And it doesn't matter how many times you fall. It's all about learning, getting up, and keep moving forward.
And it also says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Nope.
All right. So everything that's coming at you is a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to prosper?
Yes.
Right. And that's the main thing. You don't know. A weapon could be in the form of a relationship.
Yep.
A weapon could be in the form of a coach. A weapon could be in the form of a monetary situation that you think you're not capable of.
Yeah.
Right. But again, do you have the alignment to understand, and the clarity and the faith to understand that this is meant? It's not what happens to you; it's what happens for you. All right. But when you say God is going to close the door, but when He does open the door, is your vision clear to walk through it?
Right.
Yes, you gotta be ready for that open door.
There you go.
You gotta walk right through it.
Right. But y'all are in a situation where y'all don't see doors because y'all looking at the gold and the glitter. Y'all looking at the Midas touch, right? But sometimes that door might just be black and gray or whatever you may be, and it says walk through this door or walk through this door, and y'all don't walk through this door because y'all chasing the what you see other people doing.
Right. How did that took a place in your life? Because I know many times, like you said, you gotta have trust and gotta have faith to walk through that door. Mm-hmm. How did you do that?
So as a peak performance coach or mindset coach, I've come to understand now that pain, our subconscious, the little voice that's in your head, is always going to run the pain. All right, you have to train your subconscious to run the joy. All right, so I learned through pain, just like everybody else. Right, when I failed basketball, but it wasn't a pain that made me want to change my life, because I still, I had the basketball mentality. Oh, somebody's gonna give me something. I can still go shoot. I can still go dunk. I'm still good. But it wasn't until my wife left me, right, is when I realized that, I need to fix something. Yeah. All right. I prayed. And I'm not gonna get too deep in context because this is a faith-based show. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to take my life. Right, because it went from a thing where I was seeing my daughter every day to where I wasn't seeing her at all, and it was my fault. Mm-hmm. Right, but I went to therapy. All right, so I encourage everybody. If you are going through something, it's okay not to be okay. Yeah, but it's not okay not to do something about it. Right, and I'm a big advocate for therapy. So I went to 3 therapists before, and I settled down at 1. And I walked in the room, and I was already skeptical. Because I never. My family never talked about therapy. Nobody ever taught me about therapy. And I walked in and she was sitting this close to the computer. And I said, man, this is kind of weird, you know, and you know, I've seen movies and things. And like I said, this was my third attempt at therapy. Therapy is just like anything else. You got to get the right fit.
Right.
So again, I hadn't seen my daughter. All right. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen a movie, Collateral Beauty, with Will Smith. All right. He loses his daughter.
Yeah, I've seen it.
She passes away.
Oh, that.
Yes.
That he talks to time.
Yes.
And that.
Yes. So I had just watched that. And mind you, my daughter wasn't living with me at the time. So it made me feel every which way, you know. And I'm praying. I'm calling my brother. I'm calling my dad. But I still wanted to take my life. Right. And I said, man, I have to get help. So as I walked in, she was sitting as close to the computer. She said, hey, are you John? I said, yes, I am. She said, don't worry. I'm sitting as close to the computer because I'm legally blind. All right. So it was like I can go in, I can sit down, and I can talk to her and it's not going to be biased because she can't see me.
Right.
So I can be raw. So I sat down and she said, John, why are you here? And I said, to be honest with you, her name was Tina. I said, Tina, I really don't know. I said, I'm in a place where I lost my basketball career. I lost my contract. I'm working a job. I'm making good money, but I'm sitting behind the desk. I'm getting fat. My wife left me. Everything's just crumbling. I got money in the bank, but it's not fulfilling.
Yeah, it's not enough.
It's not enough.
Yep.
So guess what she said? I had just watched Collateral Beauty the day before. She said, John, I'm going to tell you like this. She said, good things happen to bad people and bad things happen. No, I'm sorry. Bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. It's all about, can you find a collateral beauty in the lesson? And it was like,
yeah, everything makes sense.
so I stayed with her for 9 months and just talking to someone who didn't know me about my situation and telling me the truth. Again, like I told you all earlier, you know, everybody's talking. You got podcasts here, you got YouTube channels here, but it's no truth.
Right.
So it helped me find the truth within myself. You know, again, faith without works is dead. I was praying, but I wasn't changing. So I had to pray and put in the work, which was actually going to therapy, seeking help. You know what I'm saying? So that was the pivotal moment in my life where I was like, you know, like, you're toxic.
Yeah.
And you gotta just shut everybody out. I cut off homeboys. I didn't play ball for like, I would probably say like 2 years. And I just went to the gym. And like I said, she told me, she was like, what would Kobe do? And I just started getting up 4 a.m. every day for 2 years straight. 4 a.m. every day. 4 a.m. So now, as you see me now, I mean, I do it now, just it's routine. But I took a calendar and put it on my refrigerator.
Yeah.
And if I got up at 4 a.m., stack the days, what I just talked about earlier.
Yeah.
If I got up at 4 a.m. and worked out or did my journal, that's one win, right? Stacking the wins, seize the day. Kobe Bryant, carpe diem, seize the day. If I ate clean, another win, right? If I didn't do anything secular, call women, chase women, go to the clubs, things like that, whatever, hang out with homeboys that weren't serving my goals, those 4 things, I could mark an X. And as a competitor in myself, I wanted to see the whole calendar filled up with X's. And I did that for 12 months.
Yeah.
12 months, man. And it built a fire inside of me where I feel like I'm invincible.
Right.
And not on a sense of where, like, you know, I don't need anybody or I don't need help or anything, but it's just, I feel like the discipline that is built in me, I can conquer anything.
Yeah, because you feel fulfilled. Like, you know, stacking wins like that, you said. Just getting 1% better. As this book, it's called Atomic Habits.
Yep.
And it says, get 1% better every single day.
But what's the long word for atomic? Automation. And what did I say earlier? Put your habits on a playlist.
Yes. It's all coming together.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, like, you know, 1% every single day, and then, you know, just stacking up wins, and, you know, it makes me feel fulfilled. Like, you're going in the right way.
Right.
Well, earlier you were talking about being a leader, and so I just wanted to ask you, how do you lead and influence others while staying rooted in humility and in your faith?
So again, like I said earlier, my wife and I have created a curriculum for the schools that we work with. You know, one of our titles is athletic director at the Calvary Church, right? So we run the sports program over there and things like that, and then we also have a program with the city of Orlando where we work with 315 kids a week. And our program is called Leadership Has No Age. All right. So again, leadership is not a title, it's not a position, right? It's characteristics. So number one, right? The Bible says honor, right? So when it comes to honoring yourself, do you honor yourself, right? Do you respect yourself, right? When I walk in this room, it's a thing where I shouldn't have to ask you guys to respect me. You all should respect me based off how I treat myself, all right? And then number two, right? Discipline. Not am I in trouble, but am I willing to do what's right?
Yeah.
Even if it's a hard decision, even if it's a hard choice, are you willing to do what's right? Number three, effort. It don't cost you money to give effort. It costs you nothing. And there's no disadvantages to giving effort.
Right.
And then number four, what goes back to everything, focus. Can you stay focused? So if you can live your life by a system and a standards of that, you have expectations for yourself, right? And then if you set high expectations for yourself, then others will set expectations for when they interact with you. So again, leadership is not a something that's easy, but it's not for everybody. Like the saying Nike has, win is not for everybody. Leadership is not for everybody. But if you're chosen and if you're called to be a leader, you have to be intentional with it. But it starts with how you treat yourself first. So if I can honor myself, like I said in the morning, how I talk to myself as a king, right? That's how you stay in your lane as a king. You don't settle, right? You set boundaries, right? People say, oh, you go to the gym, you take care of yourself. Setting boundaries is self-care too. You know, Let me ask you a question, right? How many of your friends have asked you, how's your mind this week? Like, how are you doing this week?
Close friend that we talk almost every day.
Okay, so how about outside of her? How about you?
No.
How about you?
No, like you're saying, like the way you're saying it. No.
Right. So let me ask you this: are they your true friends, or are they just around when it's convenient for them?
Right.
I think it's a basis for. Are you actually intentional with the relationships you have?
It goes back to the leadership part, the respect and honoring yourself. You can't. You have eagles, and you got pigeons.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When y'all see pigeons, what they doing? They in the park. They eating what's on the ground. They eating trash that people throw out, scraps.
Right.
But where do eagles fly?
Up.
Sky.
And the only other bird that they associate with are eagles. So when you're on your journey, when faith shows you the vision, when God gives you the vision, are you going to be an eagle getting to that vision, or are you going to hang around pigeons?
Right.
So that's how you stay and you keep your humility and you stay in your lane, is that you got to honor yourself at all costs. Even, like I say, even with your spouse, it's not my wife's job to make me whole. That's between me and him.
Yeah. Amen. We're gonna leave it up to here.
But that was great. Hey, that's a lot of information.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, I just learned so much, and I'm grateful. It's my pleasure for you being here. Our pleasure.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you came by. I'm glad that you dropped some of your knowledge and how to be a leader and how to understand our mindset, and also how important it is the way we talk to ourselves and the way we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
I feel like that's missing in today's society, where we got people talking to themselves in a negative way,
Right.
instead of like saying, oh, look, God made me this way, I should be proud of the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty important, and
Yes.
I'm glad that you brought that
See yourself like God sees you.
Well, the last note before we go is, let me ask y'all another question. When you have a crayon, right, when you were young and you break a crayon in half, can you still use it?
Yeah.
So when you're broken, all you got to do is talk to God and sharpen yourself back up. And just keep going.
Work with what you got.
That's it. Just keep coloring.
It's a bar.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna steal that from you. But thank you guys for watching this episode. It was truly a blessing to have Coach John here.
We will leave his social
But
media.
yeah, drop your social media. Drop your Instagram.
Oh man, yes, Instagram. My wife and I's company is Project Superhero Fit.
Yes.
We are also co-owners of Totem, the Totem Fitness app. Our Instagram is Got Lust for Life, GOTLUST, the number 4, and then Life. So that's our Instagram. You know, follow us. Reach out to us. Any motivation, any public speaking, any athletic performance, anything. We do everything. So
Hit him up. Hit him up.
just hit us up.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, so have a blessed day and see you in the next one.
There you go.